Yes guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope we're all doing well. Happy Monday. I'm getting pretty ahead of this vlog, what she says, because I'll probably end up finishing this off like Friday or Saturday. I'll drag out for a few days. I'm just in a bit of a hurry today because I have a little posing session with Ellie this morning. So currently it'll be like 7:30 her time. So yeah, a couple minutes till we jump on a call just to run through a few finishing touches with her routine, as she will be doing 2 rows at the end of the month. So the posing for 2 rows is a little bit different to UK DFBA and PCA. So we've just been drilling that. We've made a couple of adjustments obviously in check-ins and obviously back when I saw her in Bath in person. However, I just want to run through that with her so that she feels really confident going into the show, because she's approaching her third and last peak week now, which is crazy. So she's just coming in a little bit tighter across these last few days. Definitely her sharpest, tightest up to date, but I'm looking forward to catching up with her. And then we'll be getting a taxi to the gym because I've got a leg session today as well, which I'm buzzing for. Something that I did want to show you is I got a new gym set whilst I was back in the UK, because I want to try and make the most of being in the UK to pick up like new sets, or if I am picking up any clothes. Like, I very rarely buy clothes for myself, to be honest. Usually I just need a certain amount of shorts and a certain amount of like sports bras and things to tie me over and just have in rotation from a session to session basis. But I don't have like a massive wardrobe at all. I'm quite conservative like that. I don't like to really spend money like unnecessarily, save for things that really do matter. However, I did need a new set because I split a pair of my shorts. So you know what I said about the shorts being on rotation? If one of those is then out of rotation, I'm like, throw. They're split, so I can't wear them. So I did have to get a new set. So this is the set that I have. This is Define. I've never got anything from Define before actually, but it fits like a glove. I'm actually so happy with it, and I'm actually so sad that I didn't get it in more colours. So I was like, you know what, I only need one, and I probably do only need one, but definitely next time I'm back in the UK, I might even order one of these sets in a different colour because I'm actually in love with it. I think, I can't remember what colour this even was, but it's sort of like a plum brown from the back. Yeah, that's pretty nice. So yeah, that is the set. An open back, which we always love. Yeah, no, I'm super happy with this. The shorts like the perfect length. I don't like super short shorts as per se, just because I feel like when you're like training legs, they just ride up and they just sit like almost like a hot pant. So I like them to sit, you know, a good 1.5 inches or so like before your, like below your like ass crease, I suppose. But you know, these are such nice sets, I will say. But anyways, I'm gonna crack on with the session because otherwise I'm gonna be late. With that shot, try and see if you can go a bit more upright. Yeah. Because sometimes when you hit that, it looks a little bit like you're almost really leaning forward. So that's just why I just like, only slightly, I'm over exaggerating it, but like, I just want you a little bit more tall and upright. Yeah. That's better. So I just feel like when you go to do that transition like here, and then around to the front and into this, I almost want you to take a bit more time with it because it just looks a touch rushed. Make sure when you do that, Ellie, that your foot is pointing the way it usually does, okay? Because you just hit that with the toe a little bit more facing the front, and with you at the moment, we've tried that before, and it's definitely better with it facing to the side at the moment because you lose that hamstring roundness. So like, make sure that you hit that the same every time. Just to talk you through my session from the other day, guys. So I actually started off this session with an abductor. I didn't actually film that. Actually preferring starting with an abductor, getting into the bulk of my session, like my bigger movements a little bit earlier on in the session. Where mentally I feel a little bit more fresh, and then like to taper off with things like kickbacks towards the back end. Also single leg movements that just take a little bit longer to move from one leg to another. So I just like to almost leave those till last at the moment. Then I basically started the bulk of my work off with a hip thrust. So using the hip thrust machine here, I really quite like this machine now that I figured out how to set it up. Initially, the first 3 weeks I was here and I was using it, I just couldn't quite get it right. Usually I'm on the shorter setting for everything, but at first it just felt off when I said it like that. But I couldn't really put my finger on why. But then over time, I've kind of gotten the gist of it. Like, I feel like, remember, whenever you do new machines or new movements in new gyms, it might just take you a moment to figure out like the setup or the setting on the machine that works best. Then I moved on to the Cybex 45-degree press. I love this leg press. I think it feels so smooth. And this, obviously I've done glute focus, like all of my pressing is practically like glute focus because my quads are always going to be just that little bit dense and overpowering in comparison to my glutes, which are fairly weak. Like, they have always been a weak body part. I've done a lot to bring them up because, trust me, if I didn't train them as much as I did with as good execution, they would be literally non-existent. So yeah, the majority of what I do is always going to be glute focus, which I do take a slightly higher, narrower foot stance for. I've also put the mat behind my back here as well, just to bring me up closer to the foot plate, because I was finding, and I find that actually because I'm very short, like I'm only 5'3", when I'm in machines, I often will bottom them out a little bit. So I basically won't be able to get into that last little bit of the range of motion, like into the stretch, without like tapping the weight to the bottom or resting the weight at the bottom. I just can't quite get that range of motion. So whenever I am doing a leg press, it's my preference, if there is something that I can put behind my back, then I will do that just to give me an extra couple of inches, even if it is just like a folded up mat. Like, even that can make a difference. And that's something that I suggest to my clients as well. But yeah, I love that machine. I actually thought that I was down, I think, on this lift. However, it turns out that when I look back at my logging, I did a different leg press last time, which is why the numbers look like I'd dropped off, but I actually hadn't. I'd actually progressed them, so I'll take that. Midway through legs, a little bit sweaty, but to be honest, this is very, very different coming back to Dubai in general, not just in training and in the gym, but it is a lot cooler than when we left before, which is actually quite a welcome change, because trust me, this would be a whole lot worse. So I've done abductor, I've done the machine hip thrust. Oh God, I just dropped it, that wouldn't have been good. Machine hip thrust over there. Finally feel like I figured out how to set that one up, because it did take a little bit of a moment. I think whenever you have like a machine like that, it does typically take a moment just to figure out the settings that make you able to connect with it best, because everyone's obviously like levers of biomechanics are going to be slightly different. So, well, usually for me it's pretty straightforward because everything is on like the smallest, shortest setting, which I suppose is quite handy being like a short gal. Like, it makes things pretty straightforward. And I've just done one set here on the Cybex, which is definitely one of my favourite leg presses for sure, but it's going pretty well. I feel like when you come in and train off the back of a deload, sometimes it can be a little bit hit and miss. Sometimes you come in and you feel like fantastic, and other times it just feels like it takes you a moment to sort of get back into the flow of training, in terms of just like almost practicing the movement patterns again. It's like, it shouldn't even be the case that after a few days of not training that you feel almost a bit detrained, but sometimes like that, it can feel like that. I think that I've got almost 4 plates on each side here, so I'll take that for pretty decent reps too. I have seed ham, I then have Bulgarians to do, and then I think I finished the session with like a kickback. So yeah guys, wish me luck, because I'm only halfway through and I'm just sewing my tits off already, so the rest of it should be fun. I went on to a seated hamstring curl. Really, really like this one that they have at Dungeon. Again, I usually do use a pad under the roller between my quads and the pad that kind of goes down on top of your legs. But I forgot it for my first set. I did use it for my second set. It just makes things, again, I just get a little bit more range of motion at the top really, because otherwise I'm just so small that I just will struggle at either end range on some machines. But that definitely helped me a bit more, get my legs a bit straighter before obviously like just
essentially resting the weight at the top. So here, just making sure that I have a slight turn in on my toes, just to make sure my toes stay neutral, my feet stay neutral, because typically when you're doing a hamstring curl, they will want to fall out a little bit naturally, which restricts like engagement in your hamstrings. So make sure your feet are literally directly pointed up towards the ceiling. If you're doing like a seated ham curl, or any ham curl actually, they want to be like forward and like up. Try not to point your toes. But with these, again, just trying to keep a tight core, making sure that we're not getting too much like body language, but I really do like that. That's very, very smooth. Bulgarians, obviously pretty self-explanatory, always using the front foot elevation, because that helps a lot with actually getting that full range of motion at the bottom. And actually I find that it feels harder because it's almost more distance for you to travel, because your knee obviously then drops down but almost below the height of the step, so it feels like you're going further, and I feel like that is actually of benefit to your overall range of motion. So if you haven't tried that, definitely try it. I would say that it's actually going to make it feel a lot more sort of connected and cohesive, but they do feel a little bit harder because you can't quite put as much weight on that back leg, I find. Keeping the hand nice and close to the ankle when I'm doing these, and yeah, they're just savage, let's be honest. They're just never going to be not hard, but love them. I feel like they're such an underrated movement for glutes if you do them right for glutes, which means that essentially keeping that a nice vertical shin, sitting back into the hips off with a glute kickback, fairly self-explanatory. Just did these to finish off the session, and just as, I suppose, just an extra glute isolation that I have to do, even though I'm not a particular fan of like doing glute isolations because I find them really, really boring, but they have to be done. So here I'm obviously just trying to kick my foot slightly almost out to the side as I'm dragging it back, keeping a nice neutral spine, and then almost allowing my working kicking leg to slightly cross over in front of my planted foot. So it's almost coming across my body at a bit of an angle. And I think that really helps wrap your glute around your hip a bit better and get full range of motion in the glute as well. So that was my session.
Really good session there, actually, guys. Like, to be honest, I was low-key dying. However, you know, it's a good leg session when you feel like your legs are actually about to buckle. I've got my post-workout meal here. I actually prepped this and took it with me in my bag because I thought that we were going to be going somewhere else basically straight after training. However, we didn't end up being able to do that today. So I've literally just been able to whack it in the microwave here. So this is literally just 75 grams of jasmine rice with 100 grams of chicken, and then I have 100 grams of mango there. What I might even do is treat myself to, while I eat this, I might even put on just a little bit of Netflix, which I don't usually watch Netflix like midday, and yeah, like I don't usually do that. But I have boxed off a good bit of work whilst at the gym waiting for Mark, because I was done it before, and then I did some steps. So I've done like almost all my steps now as well. So I feel like quite accomplished, which is always really nice. And I just have had my check-in response as well through here. So I'm gonna have a little watch through this. So you know what, instead of watching, so instead of watching that, I'll probably just watch this. So going to get this down now. So mango and the chicken and rice. Can't beat some chicken and rice, and then get stuck into my check-in feedback, and I'll probably share that with you as well in terms of what changes, if any, are being made this week. Right, guys, so I've just had a listen through my check-in there, my check-in feedback, and obviously the meal has most definitely been demolished. So we do actually have some changes going forward into this new week, which is always very exciting. I think over the past few weeks since being back in the UK, we weren't really in a position, or wasn't really in a position where, given the disruption to my routine, that I really wanted to use those weeks to push on, because I also knew that I had this deload coming up that I really needed. So pushing harder at that point wasn't really going to benefit me. I knew that I needed to get back. I needed to actually take that time to, I suppose, have that rest, to be able to refresh my body, to be able to push forward from there. So that's what's happened, and we are ready to nudge things forward. I think a big part of this dieting phase, because I do actually have a couple of meals out coming up, a couple of events coming up, I think this coming Saturday, and then also the following week as well. So
it will be navigating around this too. So essentially a big part of this diet was that we didn't really want to slam my body super hard, because especially given that I had some thyroid issues at the beginning of the year, and I had to push really hard at that point to pull off the body fat that I did at the time. And I am leaner now, and I've gotten leaner now than where I was back then, which is great by the end of that diet. And I haven't had to push yet, of course. Like, I've been dieting for a few weeks. I think it's like maybe 6-7 weeks since like kind of moving into this little recomp. However, across that time, I have pulled off more this time around than what I had done the last time. And I'm eating more, I'm doing less. So, and I'm just a little bit more, my body just feels a bit more chill. Like, I don't feel so drained or tired, or like just feeling those implications from actually having like not enough thyroid hormone, basically. So that's been nice, because it feels a bit more like my body's working with me rather than my body's working against me. So that's good it's good to feel that, and it's good to see that I can actually, I've had a good bit of balance across this time. Like, I've had off-plan meals, I've not had to like cut those out totally. And even though, yes, my progress from that aspect is a little bit slower, I don't even mind that, because it is a bit more like enjoyable, it's more sustainable, and it doesn't feel really difficult to the point where I'm like, oh, I just want to be out of this, So I'm actually really happy with my pictures this morning as well. It was definitely the best I've looked, obviously dropping down now into the 63s. I think that where I would like to see myself is sort of around the 60 kilo mark, and that would be a really good place for me to be. That's where I feel like I would feel really good on myself, and also then be able to maintain that going forward. And the goal is not to get shredded here. It's definitely not. I just want to get to a point where I feel a lot more confident in myself. I can maintain sort of a leaner physique sort of all year round, and I can obviously build food off the back of that as well. So changes, I have a small drop in food. So only about, like, if we're thinking about it on average, it's only really about 100 calories a day. So only a small shift. So that, I've obviously had no cardio across this entire week, because we've been basically taking a deload, and then cardio is going to go back in this week at 25 minutes on a rest day, rather than my previous 20 minutes, so just an extra 5 minutes. And then everything with regards to my fem test, that's going to stay the same. And then with Claire, obviously that already come up last week to 40 mcg. So no change with that as of today, no change to steps. So just a small nudge. My sourdough in my meal one is gone, so might actually have a little bit of a cry about that. But same time, we get the job done. We're not complaining about it. I literally just want to push on a little bit more now, especially given that I know that I've got a couple of events up that will have to be managed around like the food side of things too, but obviously be able to work in a little bit more flexibility as well. So that is the changes. I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks. I'm pretty happy with pictures in the morning. I definitely feel like I look a little bit leaner in the gym too, but still a little ways to go. But every week, a step forward, which we'll definitely take. Remember, these things don't happen straight away. Like, results don't happen overnight. You have to consistently show up day to day to day to day to day, week to week to week, month to month. And that's where it's marginal gains, like marginal improvements that accumulate. So always be mindful of that. Sometimes like you're not going to see that effort pay off until like, you've been consistent for weeks and weeks and weeks, but it will always be so worth it. So that is where we're at. Those are the changes to be made. And then we're going to crack on into this week.
Good morning, guys. So, literally just heading out the back entrance through the car park to go for my walk, because going through the reception is just too much social interaction for the morning time. So I'll leave that when I get back. But now I'm just gonna head out, get some steps now. I've obviously got a rest day today, and I will be going back in on cardio. So I'm actually going to do that a little bit later on in the day. I'm going to trial that rather than getting up, doing it with my walk in the morning. I'm going to trial getting more steps in the morning, and then obviously then do my cardio a little bit later, so that when I come back, I can literally just jump in the shower straight away, and then I'm sort of sorted for the evening. So kind of busy rest day, like a few things to do. Last night we didn't sleep too bad, but we did get into bed a little bit later because we actually went out to pick up Mark's new car, which is this one over here, which he is absolutely buzzing about. See, everyone is out walking their dogs. It is definitely a little bit cooler now, which is absolutely amazing. Like, it feels like you don't walk out of the house
or out their flat or the apartment complex. And it's almost like you're not walking straight into a steam room anymore, which is way more pleasant. Pretty exciting delivery, guys. What do we have in here? Oh. We have a full 12 pack of Monsters. I was missing them so much whilst I was out here. Yes, they are a bit more expensive, but if I bought a full 12 pack, then they worked out as like £2 a Monster. So if I equate that across every rest day, that's gonna end up lasting for the whole month. So yeah, it's all good, guys. It was worth it. Actually, just remembered as well that I was going to talk you through some of my like opinions on the Olympia within bikini. I don't want to make this like a whole thing. Oh, hi. I don't want to make this a whole thing because it would literally go on forever. But just to cover my opinions on Maureen winning, like everyone will know, if you know me, that I am a massive Maureen fan. Like, she has by far my favorite bikini physique ever, like ever. I think that she's so balanced. I think that there is so, like, just nobody looks like her. I just feel like she's so symmetrical, so balanced from top to bottom, from side to side. Even in like her body fat distribution, she's just so bikini to me. And I know that people were saying like, oh, you know, her conditioning is like, it's quite soft. It's more like Fit Model, for example, and she doesn't have tie-ins. But guys, like, that is just, you know, her genetic structure just means that her glutes almost just fall into like very round hamstrings, like, but she still has a tie-in. Like, I think that when you see a lot of the pictures of the girls in the lineup, she has like the best like back pose like out of everyone. Like, her glutes are so bubbly, so full. She has like such full upper glutes, it is ridiculous. And even like the bottom of the tie is very like dense. I think her presentation sometimes could be a little bit better because I feel like she doesn't lift her glutes enough, like say for example in a walk to the back, to keep them as full as what they actually are. So it makes them look like she is dropping them essentially. But and obviously this is just me, my opinion. I will never be at that level of any of those 5 girls. However, she's just so balanced from her ankles all the way up to her head. Like, it's like perfection. And her overall presentation, because obviously we know the bikini is the physique, but it's not just the physique, it's the overall look. Like, we say that bikini is a look, and I think that she just has that. She wasn't soft. She was, yeah, on the softer side of a range. Remember that bikini is like very much a range of conditioning rather than a set condition. It's not like bodybuilding. It's not like you have to come in as lean as possible. There is a range, and I think that there is a certain conditioning that looks best on certain people as well. So for her, that always is, she's always on the slightly softer side of the range, yes, but that works for her. It does work for her. And she's still like mega balanced. Like, in a lot of the lineup pictures as well, a lot of people are saying that her waist looked kind of big. Trust me, I've seen some of the other pictures. Her waist is just as small as everyone else's, like, seriously. So Laura Lee, this definitely was not her best. I think she knew it as well. You could almost see it in her presentation that she knew she was sort of like off, and it wasn't the typical Laura Lee that we would usually see, like the one with all like the sass and the sparkle and the stage presence. It definitely wasn't her best, and I think she knew that. She looked a little bit soft and flat, and it almost looked like she still had a little bit to lose, but that she didn't have that fullness and the pop that she usually does. Like, usually she's very, very dominant in the glutes, especially from the back. And she just didn't have that projection, that pop this time around. And even Ashley as well, she even looked a touch on the soft side for her. And again, bikini is a range, so it wasn't like her conditioning was off, but it was off for her. Because I know that the judges typically like her just a little bit tighter. Because again, remember, bikini conditioning is a range. that range also is going to be more preferential on that sliding scale for one athlete to another. And I know that she needs to be just that little bit leaner to get her glutes to project through a little bit more, so maybe she can then fill out a little bit more. But again, it wasn't her best, definitely was not Laura Lee's best. Lineup Jazzy looked amazing. I just feel like she just maybe lacked a little bit of that pop to her glutes and the back pose that Ashlyn and Maureen had. Amy is again absolutely phenomenal from the back as well, like definitely the most dense glutes probably by far out of everyone, and also very, very balanced. To be honest, I'm actually in a way, no, to be honest, Ashlyn was also very good from the back. I'm almost surprised that Amy didn't maybe place a little bit higher. These girls, all of them are absolutely unbelievable. Everyone who qualifies for the Olympia is absolutely unbelievable. But I just thought I would give a brief summary of a few of my opinions without going into it in a lot more depth than that. But with that being said, I'm going to round this video up now. Guys, I'll love you and leave you. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I really appreciate it. If you are enjoying the vlogs, please like, share, subscribe, and comment if there is anything else that you want to see. But I will see you in the next one.